Imagine building a kingdom over 40 years.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
You know, every stone, every ledger, every intricate detail of how it operates. Then the very moment your co-ruler passes away, you are dethroned.
Just completely pushed out.
Exactly. Not by a conquering army, but by your own children who immediately treat you like an unpaid servant.
It's brutal.
It really is. I mean, how fast does respect vanish when real money is suddenly on the table? Welcome to today's deep dive.
Thanks for having me.
Before we really get into it, if you are enjoying our content, please make sure to subscribe to the Simplified Summary channel, drop a like on this video, and share your valuable comments down below. We love hearing from you.
Yeah, please do. The comment section is always fascinating.
So, today our mission is to take a deep dive into Munshi Premchand's classic Hindi short story, Beton Wali Vidhwa.
Which translates to The Widow with Sons.
Right, straight from his famous Mansarovar collection. We're going to extract the really powerful, heartbreaking insights about family dynamics, greed, and the deeply tragic irony of a mother's love. We really want to give you a complete and detailed summary of this literary masterpiece.
It is a phenomenal piece of literature.
Yeah.
Premchand is widely recognized as a master at exposing the hypocrisy of traditional society, especially within the domestic sphere.
Yeah, behind closed doors.
Exactly. What we're going to see in this specific story is a forensic breakdown of how quickly filial piety,
That supposedly deep-seated unconditional respect for parents.
right, how that respect dissolves the second a financial inheritance is in play. We are looking at a brutal overnight shift in power dynamics, and it's laid bare not through grand dramatic battles, but through everyday, mundane domestic events.
So to set the stage for you, the initial illusion Premchand creates is incredibly striking. We are introduced to the matriarch, Phulmati. Her husband, Pandit Ayodhyanath, has just passed away, and the estate he leaves behind is substantial. We're talking a solid, concrete house, beautiful gardens, a lot of jewelry, and here's the kicker, a massive 20,000 rupees in cash.
In the context of the era Premchand was writing, that cash alone is a life-changing fortune.
Oh, absolutely. And they have a large family to inherit it. 4 married sons and 1 unmarried daughter named Kumud.
And we really need to look closely at the profiles of these 4 sons because their backgrounds make their subsequent behavior much more complex.
They aren't villains in a cartoon.
No, not at all. These are ostensibly respectable, educated men. You have Kamtanath, the eldest, who works as a clerk.
Right.
Umanath has just finished his medical studies and is preparing to open a dispensary. Dinath is a journalist.
Which is usually associated with exposing truth and societal ideals, right?
Exactly. And Sitanath, the youngest, is a highly successful top-tier university student.
So they are doing well.
Yeah, Premchand is deliberately setting up a household that represents the educated, modernizing middle class. This isn't a family of societal outcasts. This is a respected pillar of the community.
That makes the immediate aftermath of the father's death so interesting. For the first few days, the household dynamic seems completely, perfectly intact.
It really does.
The sons and their wives, the daughters-in-law, are behaving with incredible obedience. They are actively catering to Phulmati's grief, massaging her feet, taking care of her clothes.
Playing the part perfectly.
Yeah. Phulmati feels this profound, comforting sense of security. She genuinely believes that despite losing her partner of 40 years, she still commands the household, just as she always has.
But the psychological trap of that golden facade is incredibly potent.
How so?
Well, Phulmati mistakes their temporary adherence to cultural mourning rituals for permanent respect. She is operating under the assumption that her authority was derived from her status as their mother.
Because she's the elder of the house?
Right. She doesn't realize that their reverence was actually tethered to her husband, or, more specifically, his legal control over the family wealth.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the moment that wealth conceptually transfers to the next generation, her actual authority just evaporates. They're performing grief, but they're already calculating their new positions.
And there is a specific incident about household groceries where it gets really interesting. It seems so mundane. What exactly happens with the flour and ghee?
It's a brilliant use of a mundane detail to signal a massive structural shift. So, Phulmati is preparing for an upcoming household event. Having run this house flawlessly for decades, she knows the exact quantities required.
She knows what she's doing.
Exactly. She orders Kamtanath, the eldest son, to purchase 5 sacks of flour and 5 tins of ghee.
Okay.
Kamtanath goes to the market, but he deliberately chooses to bring back only 3 sacks of flour and 3 tins of ghee.
It's wild that he would just arbitrarily change the order like that. I mean, is he just being frugal, or is Premchand signaling something darker here?
Oh, it's definitely darker.
When she confronts him about the missing supplies, how does he justify it?
His reaction is the turning point of the entire narrative. He doesn't offer an apology. He doesn't invent an excuse about the market being out of stock or lacking the funds.
Right.
He casually, and with a hint of defiance, tells his mother that the brothers discussed the order and decided among themselves that 3 were enough.
Wow.
The chilling part is his exact justification. He states that they understand their own profit and loss.
Their own profit and loss. That phrase feels incredibly loaded, especially coming from a clerk who works with ledgers all day.
He is entirely loaded. By claiming they understand their profit and loss, Kamenath is explicitly informing his mother of her demotion.
He's saying the quiet part out loud.
Exactly. He is telling her that the 20,000 rupees in the household budget are now their money. You are no longer the financial decision maker.
Just like that.
In the span of a single brief conversation about groceries, she transitions from being the undisputed matriarch to a financial outsider in her own home. Her 40 years of managerial experience are dismissed as totally irrelevant because she no longer holds the purse strings.
And this realization escalates for Phulmati very quickly. Shortly after the grocery incident, she witnesses the eldest daughter-in-law opening the family safe to pay for some goods.
Which is a huge deal.
Right, because previously, the daughter-in-law was trusted to hold the physical keys, but she never actually opened the safe without Phulmati's express permission and physical presence.
Never.
So seeing the safe open so casually without her involvement forces Phulmati to physically swallow her anger. It is the moment she realizes her 40-year reign is irrevocably over.
We are witnessing a profound loss of identity here. For her entire adult life, Phulmati's worth, her daily purpose, and her social standing were intrinsically tied to her management of this large joint family.
That was who she was.
Right. Stripped of that managerial role, she is left floating and completely disempowered. Meanwhile, the sons are eager to flex their newly acquired authority. They want to prove they are in charge now, which leads directly to the absolute logistical disaster of the memorial feast.
Right, the Boj. Now, from what I understand, this isn't just a quiet family dinner. It is a massive community event organized to honor the late Pandit Ayodhyanath.
It's a huge undertaking.
And Phulmati has a lifetime of experience organizing these vast events flawlessly. But the sons actively sideline her. They completely take over the management of the feast, ignoring her advice entirely.
They are driven by a classic combination of arrogance, masking incompetence.
A dangerous mix.
We have to remember their professions. They were educated men, a journalist, a doctor, a clerk. Because of their modern education and professional status, they view domestic labor and traditional event organization as beneath them, or at the very least, incredibly simple.
They think it'll be a breeze.
Exactly. They assume that because they can write articles or prescribe medicine, feeding hundreds of people will be effortless. And they are proven disastrously wrong.
The blunders are staggering. They forget basic logistical necessities. First, they fail to order ice for the water, meaning the guests are forced to drink warm tap water during a major feast.
Which is already embarrassing.
But that is just a minor inconvenience compared to the ultimate nightmare that happens during the meal service. A dead mouse is found floating in the shorba.
The gravy.
Yes, the gravy being served to the seated guests.
Try to picture the sheer scale of that humiliation. In this cultural context, a community boj of this magnitude is not merely about feeding people. It is a highly public display of the family's honor, their social status, and their ritual purity.
So a dead mouse is...
Serving a dead animal in the primary dish is the ultimate societal defilement. It isn't just unhygienic, it is a spiritual and social catastrophe.
The guests must have been horrified.
Physically repulsed, they abandon the feast, walking out in absolute disgust without eating another bite.
So the food is entirely wasted, but the real casualty is the family's prestige.
Oh, completely.
The reputation that Phulmati and her husband spent their entire adult lives meticulously building is annihilated in a single evening. When Phulmati sees this, she furiously scolds her sons. She tells them they have smeared blackness on the family's face and that no one in the city will ever respect them again.
And rightfully so.
I'm curious about how these educated modern men handle this colossal failure. Do they take ownership of it?
They do the exact opposite. When confronted with their own incompetence, the new leaders of the household point fingers.
Of course they do.
They blame each other. They shift the blame to the hired cooks. They even blame their wives.
Wow. Everyone but themselves?
Not a single one of these educated men steps up to take true accountability for the disaster they engineered by sidelining their mother. It exposes a deep rot in their character. They are happy to seize the authority and the money, but they completely reject the responsibility that comes with it.
That lack of accountability perfectly sets the stage for the conflict surrounding the unmarried sister, Kumud. About 2 months after the disastrous feast, the family needs to plan Kumud's wedding.
Right.
The 4 brothers sit down in a room to divide the 20,000 rupees in cash that their father left behind. And the math they settle on is incredibly stark.
It is cold, calculating practicality overriding any sense of familial duty. They simply divide the 20,000 by 4.
So 5,000 each.
Each brother claims a 5,000 rupee share for himself. Because they refuse to dip into what they now consider their personal funds, they unilaterally decide to cap the entire budget for their sister's wedding at just 5,000 rupees.
That's unbelievable.
They are willing to compromise their future to protect their inheritance.
This creates a massive clash of values within the family because there was a fantastic marriage proposal on the table from a wealthy family, Morarirlal's son.
A really good match.
But the brothers reject the proposal outright because of the dowry demands and the associated wedding costs, which would exceed their self-imposed 5,000 rupee limit.
Right.
Satanath, the youngest brother and the university student, actually offers to give up his entire 5,000 rupee share so his sister can marry into this good family.
See, Satanath is the only one who still retains a sense of moral obligation to his sister. Perhaps because he hasn't fully entered the cynical professional world yet.
He hasn't been corrupted.
Right. But the older brothers immediately shut him down. And what is fascinating here is how they frame their selfishness.
How do they spin it?
They don't admit they're being greedy. Instead, they use the language of modern thinking and practicality. They argue passionately against the tradition of dowry.
Oh, I see.
On the surface, arguing against dowry sounds progressive. But Premchand makes it clear to the reader that their motivation isn't social reform. It is pure avarice. They are weaponizing progressive talking points as a shield to keep the cash for themselves.
Phulmati pushes back fiercely against this. She insists the wedding will happen with Murilal's son, even if it costs 10,000 rupees. She throws her history in their faces, asserting that it is her husband's money she actively helped save by cutting her own needs and managing the household efficiently for 40 years.
Which is entirely true.
She demands they use the funds for Kumud's future.
And this is where we see the brutal intersection of law and morality. Kamtanath, the eldest, coldly brings down the hammer of the legal system. He informs his mother that under the law, she has zero right to spend that cash.
Ouch.
The money legally belongs to the male heirs. The legal framework of their society completely erases her 40 years of labor, sacrifice, and partnership. Legally, she is a dependent, not an owner.
Using the law to silence her is incredibly harsh. But Umanath, the doctor, takes a different approach that feels even more insidious.
Yeah, Umanath is something else.
He executes an absolute masterclass in emotional manipulation. He looks at his mother and tells her motherhood is a long penance.
Just a devastating line.
He twists her innate love for her daughter, essentially telling her that if she truly cares for Kumud's happiness, she should step up and fund the wedding herself.
Umanath essentially weaponizes her identity as a mother. He knows the legal argument won't change her mind, so he attacks her emotionally. He guilts her into using her Sridhan.
And Sridhan is her personal wealth.
Right, exactly. In this cultural context, Sridhan refers to a woman's personal jewelry and gifts given to her at her own wedding. Traditionally, it is the only wealth a woman has absolute, unquestioned legal right to. It is her ultimate financial safety net.
Her only safety net.
By manipulating her into sacrificing her Sridhan to pay for the wedding, the sons successfully protect their 20,000 rupee cash inheritance.
Driven by pure, unconditional love for her daughter, Phulmati caves to the manipulation. She hands over every single piece of her personal jewelry to fund Kumud's wedding.
Every piece.
The cruelty of this is staggering. Her sons literally studied her psychological vulnerabilities, her unconditional maternal love, and used it as a weapon to systematically rob her of her only remaining security.
It is a chilling portrayal of emotional extortion. They know with absolute certainty that she will sacrifice herself for her child. So they intentionally construct a scenario where she is forced to do so, simply to save themselves money.
Just to line their own pockets.
It is the ultimate betrayal, because it exploits her deepest virtue, her capacity for self-sacrifice for their financial gain.
When you strip away someone's financial agency and emotionally extort them like that, the mind can only take so much before it simply shuts down to survive.
That's true.
And we see that exact psychological break in Phulmati after the wedding. Once Kamud is married and sent off to her new home, Phulmati completely detaches from the family. She stops talking, she stops caring, and she transforms into an unpaid, emotionless laborer in the very house she used to rule.
The psychological shift Premchand describes is staggering, especially as time passes. We see significant milestones occur for the sons, and Phulmati's reaction reveals the depth of her trauma.
What happens to them?
Well, Sitanath, the youngest, gets a scholarship and travels to Europe. Dayanath, the journalist, writes a controversial article and is sent to jail for 6 months.
Wow.
Umanath, the doctor, is caught taking bribes and loses his medical license. And Kamtanath contracts a severe case of typhoid and nearly dies.
And through all of these massive life events, successes, disgraces, near-death experiences, Phulmati feels nothing.
She feels absolutely no joy at Sitanath's success and absolutely no sorrow for Dayanath's imprisonment, Umanath's disgrace, or Kamtanath's illness.
It's all just blank.
The emotional bond tying her to her sons has been completely surgically severed by their greed. She works like a pack animal, performing the heaviest and dirtiest chores in the house, and she eats her daily meals as if she were swallowing poison.
It's just a tragic existence at that point.
She is biologically alive, but she has ceased to truly live. The trauma has induced a state of total apathy.
And Premchand sets up a final, heartbreaking climax to really drive the thesis of the story home. It is the monsoon season. The weather is miserable. The rain is constant. The household maid has fallen sick, meaning the elderly, frail Phulmati is burdened with all the heavy chores.
She is exhausted, physically broken by the labor, and completely alienated from the men who live in the house.
So Kamtanath, the eldest son, the very same man who told her she had no legal right to the family money and watched her sell her jewelry, refuses to drink tap water.
Of course he goes.
He insists on only drinking water from the Ganges River, so Phulmati prepares to go out into the miserable freezing rain to fetch the river water for him.
And the dialogue in this final interaction is crucial.
Yeah.
Kamtanath sees his elderly mother getting ready to go out in the severe storm. He lazily tells her to let it be. He says he will go instead, adding almost as an afterthought that if she goes out in the rain, she might catch a cold.
So he pretends to care.
Right. He offers a weak, half-hearted gesture of concern.
But Phulmati looks up at the cloudy, threatening sky. She looks at her son, and she tells Kamtanath that he shouldn't go because he will get wet and catch a cold.
Yeah.
So she picks up the vessel and goes out into the storm herself.
This is the ultimate tragic irony of the story. Despite everything they put her through, despite the blatant public humiliation of the feast, despite them stealing her life savings through emotional extortion, despite the profound trauma that caused her to detach from them completely, her deeply ingrained, almost self-destructive maternal instinct remains intact.
She still protects him.
When faced with the immediate physical discomfort of her son, she still instinctively chooses to suffer so he doesn't have to. The sons successfully destroyed her life, her authority, and her future. But they couldn't destroy her biological instinct to protect them from the rain.
It is a haunting, devastating ending. Let's bring all of these insights together.
Yeah, let's look at the big picture.
The overarching takeaway from Beton Wali Vidhwa is a searing reflection on how financial greed can entirely rewrite family hierarchies. We watched a highly respected, deeply capable matriarch get turned into a discarded, unpaid servant, the very second her legal claim to the family wealth vanished.
The story meticulously dismantles the myth that traditional families are bound purely by unconditional love and mutual respect. Premchand shows us that, very often, that respect is heavily subsidized by financial control.
It's a transaction.
Exactly. The sons performed the rituals of respect only as long as the father held the wealth. When the financial control shifted to the sons, the respect vanished overnight, replaced by calculated profit and loss.
It really forces you to reevaluate the foundations of those domestic relationships.
It does. And this leaves us with a final thought to mull over, moving beyond the immediate text. We've spent this time analyzing how financial control dictates respect and authority within a traditional, multi-generational household.
Right.
But let's map this dynamic onto our modern society. Today, elder care is increasingly outsourced to specialized institutions, retirement communities, or professional caregivers.
Which is a huge shift.
When the physical and financial burden of daily care shifts away from the family home and the immediate family members, Does that separation actually preserve the emotional bond by removing the friction of profit and loss that destroyed Phulmati's family?
That's a great question.
Or does outsourcing care sever the connection entirely, institutionalizing the very detachment and isolation that Phulmati experienced in her own home? Would Phulmati's fate have been different if she had maintained legal ownership of the 20,000 rupees?
That is a deeply complex and unsettling question to consider about how we structure care and respect today.
It really makes you think.
Thank you so much for bringing these insights and allowing us to take this journey into the heartbreaking world of Phulmati.
It was a pleasure unpacking this with you.
And to you listening, we hope this deep dive gave you the comprehensive understanding of the story you were looking for. Don't forget to subscribe to the Simplified Summary YouTube channel, smash that like button, and share your thoughts on Phulmati's tragic story in the comments section below. Until next time, keep analyzing, keep reading, and keep questioning the narratives around you.